Okay. Well, welcome to Cincy Local Music.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having us, guys.
And our video series, which I say series, I don't think we've got enough of them out there yet to call it a series. So it's the next of the first couple that we're doing.
No, I like it. I like the style.
We're changing up a little bit tonight. Instead of music, as we normally do, we're going into filmmaking a little bit.
It's an art.
Very, very similar creative process.
Music, though.
Yeah, a little more edited than the live music
absolutely.
type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Which also means a whole lot more work sometimes.
Yeah, you could say that again. It's funny you say that because like the music process is really similar, mostly because like film it like needs music to work. So making music is just one part of that process on top of all the other things we have to do. So that's funny you said that. I think I talked about Matt Waters about that exact thing on a podcast once.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
We get too far in it. Let me just go ahead and let you guys introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Since we've got pretty much,
We'll start here, go down.
all the main crew of Clairemont Films.
Are we doing first and last name?
Ladies first.
You can do
Whatever
first,
you
you can do last.
Okay.
Just
I'm Maisie. I'm the newest addition to Clairemont Films. It's been 7 months?
Yeah,
About
it's
that,
about
yeah.
time.
7 months.
Yeah.
Which is short.
Coming up on a year. Look at you.
Yeah.
You
Feels like
stuck
longer.
around. We didn't kick her out yet.
No.
We didn't push her out. She
I've
didn't
been
run
with them
away
now,
yet.
so they can't, because then they have to make up for $600 a month.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good living with your fellow creators. 'Cause
Financially reliant on me.
And then I'm William Hafley. I'm the co-founder next to this guy and director of Clairemont Films. I do most of like the coordinating and phone calling and creative direction sort of stuff and pitches. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am Caden Lucas. I'm the cinematographer and co-creator of Clairemont. I also do a lot of the digital art, digital effects, and overall the marketing, like imaging kind of stuff.
A graphic designer.
Graphic designer, yeah.
He's our artiste.
okay, so we've found out who you guys are, what you're doing with your filmmaking as far as the name of the company. My first question is, when did Clairemont Films start?
So we got started in 2019. It was, I think, October, right?
Yes, it was very tail end of October.
It was in October of 2019. We had been on a bit of a hiatus for about a year. We'd done a few things. We did like a musical variety show, like an internet musical variety show, and then we worked with Seeing the Funnies for a while, doing a lot of their music videos. And we stopped doing stuff for a while. It took about a year off, and then one day we went and met up with our now music producer and composer Dylan Roberts. Hung out with him for a night. We drank a bottle of wine and kind of just discussed ideas because we wanted to do something. And that had been a big part of that year was trying to pitch ideas to people to try to do anything. And so we drink this bottle of wine and Dylan leaves for a moment. And I look at Caden and I'm just like, what can we do tomorrow? Like what can we literally do tomorrow? And that was kind of the first pitch of the first film. And we did that. That was called My Bad. It was like 2-minute little short of me walking out of the house, walking to a car and just leaving. And it was like an argument. And then, and from there on out, boom, we just started cranking out films.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, even through even 2020 with the pandemic didn't really hinder us that much.
We worked right through that.
That's awesome.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah, because our stuff, we've always been a small crew. Like most of the stuff was a lot of me and Will.
Yeah.
Then a couple friends here and there. So even the pandemic, we actually did
Already used
more.
to each other. And
Yeah.
following
Oh, yeah.
germs.
Yeah, exactly. Like we knew nothing would ever happen to any of us, so we're like, we're good.
Right. You're immortal.
But yeah, we ended up doing most of our work, like our film catalog, through 2020.
But you probably learned a lot in 2020.
Yeah. Oh,
You couldn't
yeah.
go anywhere, so you had to
Oh, yeah.
focus and
Good
learn.
chunk of time to get stuff done.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of isolation. I lived in a cabin for a big portion of that time, and that's where we wrote like a big portion of our movies that we've worked on the last few years. This first 20, we just kind of were just running around, just thinking of ideas like, oh, let's do this concept, and let's do that, and let's blah blah blah, and let's just try a bunch of different stuff and see what we like and see what we can learn. Because that's what we've kind of always treated Clairemont as. It's like kind of been like our college. Like we're taking ourselves to school, and learning all the things we can learn about filmmaking, so that one day we can, go into the big leagues and have something comparable to what they do, and have the knowledge and the experience to be able to make real movies. So that's what we've always kind of went for with it in the beginning, was just do whatever, and kind of just get something rolling.
Yeah, and it seems like each one I see of yours is better than the last. Every single one.
Oh,
Better,
always. We
better,
always try
better,
to.
better.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That's
it takes
the goal,
we take
yeah.
back steps sometimes in certain
Yeah.
things,
In certain areas, but we always try to go forward in another area if we do that.
All right. Yeah,
Like, we've always been about self-improvement. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, John. We always made a joke is that it was every 5 films there was always a major step up through it
Oh yeah. that's
in
right.
quality.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as whatever reason it was always at 5, and then it was like bam, so
Wow.
much better than everything before it.
Wow.
Whether it was, I think it was after the first 15 we did started treating audio a lot better, like
Yeah.
doing a lot of
Such a big
dubbing, a
thing.
lot of like Foley work, and just learning that made our stuff so much better.
Even you figured that out with videos.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that was like the part of it was like when we unlocked like a new layer to the filmmaking, it just made it that much better. Like it went from like, but like we work on getting good shots. Caden's always had a great eye
Yeah.
with cameras, so like that wasn't much, but like you can only go so far with the on-set imagination, And so then we started like developing ideas and how we would shoot things, and then came to like, people talking, like we need to like start having a mic in the room to catch people in their dialogue in room, not just on a camera mic, And then that turned into, we need music, which that was probably the easiest part, was just like, hey, call Dylan, But then over time, Dylan's not always available. He's got his own life and proceedings, so sometimes I would have to step in with my music experience, being a musician since I was like 11. I could kind of chime in and do little pieces.
That was our
that
next
would
question.
fill in. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got music posted all behind.
Oh
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say like that's one of the major things that I definitely focus on is the music, having the experience, is like trying to scope the sound and like how the music kind of conveys emotion. With this most recent film we're working on, Maisie helped me develop a lot of the soundtrack and the feel for it, and then I just knowing a lot of the local musicians, I just started reaching out and finding the different songs of theirs that thematically matched with the film. And I love filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, which they're really known for like choosing very good music to go with the kind of stories they're telling. So that's why I focus a lot on that, and then utilize my music skills to curate what I have to. I try not to dabble in it much. I would rather not. Music's a pain in my ass. But I would much rather get the sound I want than just like throw something on there, So yeah, definitely a very important aspect, and utilizing the skill for that.
I haven't heard any of the music for the latest film.
Yeah.
But I saw the list.
It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's like,
love
aside
it,
from
Joe.
Jimmy, who has got something in almost everything, because
Yeah.
it's true, yeah.
He's a go-to.
Jimmy Klepper. This is like the first movie that's got like a full local soundtrack.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got, how many is it?
I believe it's
4?
5
I
bands.
think it's fine.
It's
Yeah.
it's 5 different people locally that we
Yeah.
got to put music in, and it's just it's a lot. We're gonna make a little soundtrack up for it so those people can have their names out there when we premiere the film.
Right.
I was
Can
gonna
say.
they might be on the wall.
There's
Oh,
probably
Some of them might be.
oh yeah,
Oh, there's a
Marilyn
couple.
Monroe. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah, Megan. Yeah, she
Yeah, yeah.
does. She does one of the like
The intro song.
one of the intro songs. Yeah,
Yeah.
she does
Yeah.
the intro song. It's fantastic.
I know.
Sounds so
excited.
cool.
Mhm.
And she is do you wanna
No, go
talk
for it.
about
yeah,
the yeah she's
Well,
well no, we're trying to goad her into playing at the premiere
Yeah.
so that we can like
God.
not only have that because that's fun, but
Yes.
to give her a little extra support too is like
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
something like yes
Last
Right.
one.
Mm.
yeah
the original idea with that was to try to, we want to, at some point, definitely create songs for the movies, like get in a studio with some artists and like create the score and soundtrack through, development and like just a room full of people with ideas.
that was the original plan
Right.
for Megan for this one, and then it was just we filmed it over 2 months in the fall, right before the holidays. So, we were like, Megan can write a song for us. And then everybody was like, never mind. We're so busy. Everything's going on at
Yeah.
once. And so, but luckily she had plenty of music that worked out
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
So,
Well, and we had so many like thumbs up from so many artists that we just ended up having almost too much music to play with. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Which is a good problem to have.
That is
you
true.
know?
Yeah.
That's a good
Enough people,
because it's still a shorter film. So
Yeah.
it's like there's only so much room to, but it's pretty much got music from beginning to end. Like,
That's so exciting.
yeah.
We kind of went from how you started into the last.
We
Yeah.
should, yeah.
You might have to throw
It's
that
okay.
in.
Nothing's linear.
How did you come up with Clairemont? Where'd that name come from?
That's a funny story. We did just talk about that. So that kind of spawned from me and Caden didn't really like have. We're not really the greatest of like naming like projects of ours. Like Talking Me Talking You actually spawns from a movie that we wrote and. Which we stole that line from another movie that we like. So it's like we just have like linear depth to the same thing over and over again. Like, and in Clairemont though, we were just sitting at the bar with Jimmy Klepper, and he looked at us and he's like, "Hey, you guys are both from Clairemont County. You guys are making movies kind of about the place you're from. So why not just call it Clairemont Films?" I'm like, "Oh, well, that's funny because we're not from
None of
Clairemont
us are
County.
from
Yeah,
Clairemont
none of us are
County.
from Clairemont County." We're from Brown County, but Brown's Films doesn't really sound as good. But I thought in that moment, I'm like, it's cool. Like maybe we'll switch it to like a pretty version of that name, which is where like the air, like
Yeah.
AIR came from, and I'm like also like kind of sounds like Paramount. It's in similar fashion to that. So I'm like, that's a cool name. Let's go for that. And so we just started going with Clairemont Films and. Yeah, it's just kind of stuck from this little bar conversation that Jimmy just pitched us the idea, and
That's
like,
cool.
yeah, that works. Yeah, why not?
And we all live in Claremont County now. So
Nah, that's
Yeah.
Here
It's
we are.
home
Well, Hamilton now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. That's
That-
right. It is weird. Sorry.
Highfalutin.
We
I
went
lied,
from
it's
Brown
very-
to Claremont to
But
Hamilton.
Hamilton Films were not.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Claremont's the
Same.
prettiest name of the
Yeah.
surrounding
It's
area.
the best county.
The county, no, the
The
county
most
name.
theatrical sounding.
But nothing to
county.
refer to the county. Like Claremont Films in itself is just like stories of suburbia. Basically, that's what we can always kind of line ourselves to. We get a little fanatical with it sometimes, a little horror-y and spacey. But most of it is dove into reality. So
It's
that-
relatable.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody from anywhere can be like, I relate to that.
Yeah.
Right. That's the goal always. A beginning and an end, and a story in the middle.
Plus, who else can brag that they've got a little piece of Jimmy in their naming?
Oh, right,
Yeah.
true, right. Jimmy's actually a credited writer in one of the shorts that we did called 1037. Me and Jimmy developed most of that story.
Wow.
That was among the first 20 that we shot through 2020. But that one we just sat on the phone and developed the story and researched a bunch of stuff. That story itself is very what would be the word, Caden? Give me a good word.
It's very challenging in a lot of
Yeah.
ways because it does deal, for anyone who hasn't seen the film, it deals with human trafficking.
Yeah, very sensitive topic.
So yeah, very, very sensitive topic.
But we did a lot of research for it and developed a story that was more in our liking. What we originally thought to do was much creepier. Like very much more wild. There was supposed to be the captive was supposed to be a woman. She's supposed to be pregnant, and all this crazy, like, serious stuff that would make you like, whoa, when you've seen it. Ended up not being able to do that, and we went with
And we
Caden.
just hogtied Caden.
Yeah, pretty much.
Caden, which we still say to this day that Caden shouldn't have been wearing boxers. He should have just been naked.
Should have been, would have been more realistic.
Right,
You know.
we like to do little things like that to make it feel like a little more shocking,
Right.
know. But we never like to break the line. We like to do it tastefully. That's always something because we do touch on a lot of pretty vicious subjects, and so we like to be tasteful.
Compassionate.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
Yeah. That's true. Compassionate.
yeah, we try.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of the films is to try to spawn a different perspective on a lot of those things, because you go through life, you don't try to think about the worst things ever,
Yeah.
you know.
Try to bury it in your mind. You guys are just bringing it back to the
Yeah,
surface.
and if you see it, you
We're
get to
helping
see the
people
display.
cope.
Right.
We're,
right.
we're helping ourselves
Yeah,
cope.
you get to see stories that most of the times are, maybe looked over and ignored because of that. You know,
Exactly.
because of,
Uncomfortable things.
right? Yeah,
Mm.
I
exactly.
can attest to that.
Yeah, amen. That's insane.
Without saying too much.
Yeah,
But
of course.
You'll find out soon.
Oh yes.
Mm.
So.
A whole room of people not wanting to divulge any secrets about the upcoming
I
stuff.
know we're trying real
We
hard
can,
not
Yeah.
to.
yeah, a little sprinkle.
there's
of,
cool stuff coming.
info.
Yes.
There is.
So stay tuned.
I could definitely say the future of Clairemont is definitely bright. We have a lot of ideas. Something much more different than me and Caden have like curated ourselves. Like the first 20 or so, me and Caden just spitballing ideas. We like somebody would have like a splash in the pan idea, and I'd take it and I'd make it bigger, or Caden take it and we'd write it out and make it more. But now it's like we have this group of people that are writing stories to the fullest. Like we're like, I'm not even a part of the writing process anymore a lot of times.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I'm just like overviewing
Yeah.
and then like critiquing and having rewrites
Mhm.
and then directing. So
Wow.
it's like now it's not even like stories from our convention, you know, it's more just like all these different stories being thrown at us now that we're kind of picking and choosing from what to do. We do have stuff that we have written that we want to get to on later paths because we have developed some pretty big ideas. But ultimately, where we're at now is kind of just picking and choosing like which stories we want to do with the people that are writing these stories that they're passionate about, and then we just kind of dive into them and then boom, boom, bang.
Wow.
And we're trying to pump them out fast nowadays too. Middle Hour took 3 years to get to completion, but with this new film, we filmed that within 2 months. And we're working towards a year later premiere and having all of the work done for that 6 months out before the premiere even starts. So we're looking at like a
It's-
6 month, like a 6 to 8 month work period.
Couple of
And
pickups,
then
but
done.
I mean, it's very close to having a full first draft done, which is
Wow.
That's impressive.
very
I
very
mean,
short amount of time. Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yeah, I don't think people that haven't done filmmaking realize the amount of hours that goes into editing
No,
video.
it's very.
It is
It's
very,
very
time
easy to
consuming.
look at something and go, okay, well that's all right, and then you think about all the like just looking at like the editing software and seeing the different colors and the levels.
Oh,
This is music.
the
This is
steps.
video. This
Yeah.
is,
Right.
and you're like,
That's mumbo jumbo to her at this point too.
I
Like she's
think
like,
she
huh?
gets it, though. Look at her face.
Oh no, there's a it's just
Okay.
you know she's right there. It's a very complex thing. Like I'm on
I
that
guess you
computer.
don't want help editing.
Oh, I do. Trust me. I'm
No, but like it can be overwhelming and intimidating because you think like, okay, yeah, it's a video, it's lighting, it's audio, and then it is, but all of those things have 100 different steps that go
all
along with
singular.
them, and then you have to combine them, and you have to make sure they look good combined, and it's just it is.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
It's intensive,
Lot of work.
especially it's a lot of time behind the screen that people don't think about. Like, yeah, we
Right.
filmed in 2 months, but Will has been sitting behind a computer now for the last 3 months.
Yeah. Hours and
At
hours.
any point he can to just put together a first draft.
I've docked in at least 35 hours behind the computer just for this
Oh,
project.
yeah.
At
I mean,
least,
just to-
at the least.
yeah.
A song, and it's like 2 hours.
People are
before the song.
horrified when I tell them that you know if I go record your 3-minute song, I spent 2 hours editing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's simple edits. That's usually
Yes.
just a couple camera angles, playing
Yeah.
around with the
Yeah.
audio and some fades and stuff. That's not color coding. That's not
Oh,
all the
yeah.
other
Oh.
wonderful things you can do frame by frame sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what we do.
Yeah. And
it's
then
a-
you have the three of us, so like for this latest film, you'd sit down there and you do something and you go look at it. And we'd go look at it and we'd be like, can we do this instead?
And that's the worst because you're like,
But, like,
I thought
did-
it was good already.
Now, how
Right.
hard is that for you guys? Like, 'cause you don't want to like diss on you, but then you
Well,
want to make it.
Well, my opinion is this, and like I can always separate it from it doesn't matter like who's on screen or what's on screen or what's happening. It comes to whether it's good or bad. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, and people are always going to say something about it.
Yeah.
So you got to eliminate the bad, no matter what your opinion is. You
Right.
know, you just got to attack it as if it's a non-issue. It's just it is what it is. You have to make it the best it is, and if you don't, then you're just kind of flattening your own tire. You know, you're not getting anywhere.
Take
Yeah.
each other's criticism with a grain of salt.
You have to.
Cool.
You have
I
to.
think we agree on a lot too, for the most part.
And if we don't, we're good about discussing it and figuring it out within each other
Yeah.
of what needs to be done and what's the best
Yeah.
step and process. Because, like Will's saying, at the end of the day, all that matters is that it's good.
That's it.
Yeah.
The process doesn't necessarily matter too much, and we can all, that's all our end goal. Every single one of us, that's what we want.
We want it to look the best, you know. You want every movie to look better than the last one. And so, if it, you know, pick your hill to die on. Like,
Right. And normally you can get a peer review of the room if you have enough people in the room and you're all watching it. If something feels wrong with one person and the other three go, I don't really see it, then that means it's probably fine. Because most people aren't going to be noticing that sort of thing. You're over analyzing at that point, which is a lot of it. When you're sitting in front of a computer for hours and hours and hours, you're seeing the same thing over and over and over and over. Now you're looking for things that no one else is going to see. No one will see it.
Yeah.
People show me like, what about? I'm like, it's fine. No,
Yeah.
it's not fine.
Yeah, unless you watch a movie dozens and dozens and dozens of times, you're never going to notice any of the errors or any of the weirdnesses.
there are movies I've been watching since I was a kid that I just, you know.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Real Genius, and in one of the scenes they have like an elevator music cover of Brandy. Brandy? 3 years ago, I finally noticed that that's in there. I noticed at the same time as my dad. We were both watching it. And I mean, I've been watching that movie since I was a little kid. So that's, you know, 100 times I've watched that movie. And it took till just one random time I caught that. And
that's
it's
just
the
you
same.
watching it,
It's
not
the same
editing
thing
it.
with editing or anything like that. There's, and especially you're watching like very raw footage of stuff. So it, you know, the first time you watch footage back, you're like, is that really what we?
Yeah, it was a real hard time watching the first batch of footage. They're always like, this is not what it's supposed to be.
That's
No,
not what we
100%.
filmed.
Yeah, no, I know. It's called movie magic.
Oh,
You gotta fake it so you can make it. That's what the beauty of filming is. It really is just a compiling of all the ways to force something to be good. You know, like a lot of music nowadays is overproduced. You guys know that as much, especially growing up in the music area you guys grew up in. Nowadays, like, it used to be bands in a room recording together, then it turned into single track in a room by yourself, and then it turned into quantizations and all that sort of stuff. And with filming, it's always been that. Like, they always took the material film and cut the absolute shit out of it and chopped it up and glued it back together. They were
Literally
making it up as they went. And that's just and forcing a narrative without conviction. Like, it doesn't matter how genuine they got anything. They had to. If you see someone punch somebody, that's most likely not the sound of them punching them right then and there.
Have
They
you ever
went
punched
to
somebody?
no.
It doesn't sound like
no, it sounds like a thud.
Not as
Like
cool as a movie.
No, it's not.
No.
So, "Wah!" You know, that's why
Well, when they fall down, it's
are
pretty cool, but
And that's
the
what
sounds
It
aren't
hurts
that cool.
you, it hurts them. There's nothing. Yeah.
But there's, like, some of the music, there's a style to it, you know. Like in kung fu movies, there's a lot of loud, like yas, and there's a lot of bone breaks
Yeah.
and squirts
Wind
of
noises when
blood.
you jump and.
And the
Very
music sets
dramatic.
it up, you know.
Yeah.
And the same with like a Quentin Tarantino film, you know. The dude's just playing like old rockabilly music over a lot of like gangster ass stuff, you know. It's like, it's just kind of a style. It's just a thing, you know. That just you just kind of convey out of your culture and what you think people are gonna like, and then you just bullshit your way into making people believe what's on screen.
Right.
'Cause none of us are. We're all non-actors. That's what like they call people that are like don't professionally do it. We're all non-actors, so like all we're trying to do is convince you that we're these characters.
Right.
All we're trying to do is convince you that we're in this location. All we're trying to do is convince you that you care. You know, that you have an emotional fixation on something going on. And if we do any of that, then we did our jobs.
That's right. That's right. So how many times have you seen Pulp Fiction? I just got to ask.
I've seen Pulp Fiction probably through my life, because here's the thing. So Pulp Fiction is a funny movie for me, because my entire childhood I didn't watch the whole thing because
It's out of order.
it's out of order. So like I didn't get it, right? But then in my 20s I watched it all the way through and I'm like, okay, that's
Again.
sweet. And then I started watching it more and trying to and then understanding how the actual film
In
works
chronological
linearly.
order.
Yeah. And then just seeing all the things, like this is one of the funny little quirks about Pulp Fiction I can tell you because I've watched it so many times. When what is his name? John Travolta's character, he says in the beginning, like, oh, I don't watch TV.
Right.
They're talking about the Royale and they're talking about all this stuff.
Royale
They're talking about the
cheese.
pilot show that Marcellus's girlfriend
Fox
was
Force
in.
Spy.
So you know all of it. And so he's talking, and he's like, you know, blah, 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 you know, she's a pilot. Samuel Jackson says, oh, she was on the pilot for this movie. He's like, oh, I watch TV.
Right.
He doesn't watch TV.
But
he
you
says.
have seen a television.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, but, you know, he doesn't watch TV, right? But then he goes out on the date with Marcel's girlfriend to this 50s-esque television and Hollywood stylized bar. And he starts recognizing all the actresses. Oh, that's Marilyn Monroe. Oh, no, that's not. He corrects her. That's not Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
That's this person.
So,
Well, how do you know that
do you
if
know?
you don't watch TV?
Yep.
You're just bullshitting.
Yep.
So it's just little quirks like that you start to notice when you watch things multiple times. You would never notice that in the first film unless you're like specifically focused on it. Like you're like, oh, okay, he said that. Bang, there
Right.
it is. But those are things I pay attention to now watching movies where it's like, oh, hey, there's a thing. We watched Scooby-Doo.
We watched both.
Monsters Incorporated.
Well, we watch both of the live. We do movie nights on Wednesdays, and
We gotta study.
yeah, but we watched both of the live action Scooby-Doos last night. The only good ones.
Oh, wow.
Spooky Island and Monsters Unleashed. And listen,
They
they're fantastic movies.
They're
Okay,
Gosh, I'm gonna have to watch
they're
it
some
again.
of my
Okay.
favorites.
But they do this funny thing where they like set up, like Fred is on like this rafter and he steps over it and you see it break, but it doesn't seem like it's important, right? And then later on, is it Velma?
It's Velma, yeah.
Velma falls through the rafter.
She's like running away.
and then falls through. Later on in the film.
Where he broke it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wait a minute. What is it?
Now
is
that
that the
makes
same
sense.
rafter?
It's
And-
important to note before this they were judging the continuity of the film.
Yes.
So
There's a couple things. There's a lot of continuity weirdnesses.
You have to.
Like Velma sees the
Yeah.
reporter, and then you see her in the shot in the reflection of the van window. She opens the door, it goes to a wide shot,
The van
and then the van
window's
window's down. Like little things like that.
You know.
It's just funny. But then that same rafter, after Velma falls through it, then the bad guy was walking
they
up
were
and he's
really
talking.
focused on that rafter, so
And they
the
fell
window
through
slipped
that
through.
one too. I'm like, dude, like what? They focused that rafter meant so much more than you would have ever
Well, yeah,
thought
'cause-
because it was just so nonchalantly happening.
Yeah.
But like I noticed it
Right.
finally, and I've watched that movie dozens of times, just like Maisie
Yeah.
with her childhood movies. You know, same thing.
That's one of them, yeah. I love that one.
Yeah, I love doing that. SpongeBob.
You do start to watch movies in like entirely
Attention.
different ways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's such a different insight. It kind of it almost feels weird because you start to notice the bad stuff,
Yes,
and then
you
like
do.
good movies that you enjoyed, you now
You're
don't
picking
enjoy
it.
because you're
picking at
being
it.
nitpicky.
Yes.
You're like, I know how to make movies now.
I didn't even notice that until after you guys, and I'm like, oh, how'd they do this? How'd they do that? Wait a minute.
I've had a few people tell me that I'm ruining movies for people.
No,
nowadays.
I like it because
Who's
it
better
makes
critics?
me feel better. Because
Yeah.
you're your own worst critic, so sometimes I'll watch something and I'll be like,
They didn't
we could
do
have done that better, and then I watch something that's like professionally produced, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's like that's where it just reconfirms what we're doing, that we're on the right track because
That's the best, yeah. When I'm watching something, I'm like,
You did that right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I know.
yeah.
we did that.
But that's a lot of theory and study that led to that, you know. I mean, you know, some things come natural. Like, I do believe that, like, Kane has a natural sense of, like, vision for a frame and camera and aesthetic. I believe that, like, story-wise, I feel like I know the right beats to hit and, like to make things feel like this and, like, add on stuff. Like, little, like, oh, like, this guy's going to get shot by this guy. He's going to shoot him in the back of the head later on in the film. Oh, well, what if when they're on this car ride, what if he sits behind him? Just little stupid foreshadowing things that like don't mean anything, but because we put them in your face like that, it gives you a sort of subtle sense of something that's gonna occur. You know, just little instances towards it, and but I believe that that's like a natural thing. But even with that natural occurring, you know, like call it skill or what would be the word I'm thinking of, like man, skip it.
Intuition.
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Exactly. It's called intuition, you know, but like there's still a lot of like the learning curve of how those things happen, because when you're doing dialogue, like you could catch it in the room, but sometimes it's not good, so then you got to go back and you got to dub it and voice over it, and that's where you can mess up because now you're isolating things,
Mhm.
and it's a singular thing now. So you got to pay attention extra to it to make it good, and you got to try harder, and you got to make more sense of it every step of the way, and make it smaller and smaller and smaller, until basically you have a giant anthill of different elements that create the entirety together in one big plot. It's really quite compelling to try to break it down
Yeah.
to like, because we're just amateurs technically, you know. We just started doing this about 5 years ago. There's been, you know, you look at the top of the line, like they have entire companies
Yeah.
working on movies and creating mass product
Right.
in 2 years.
Yep.
And so just to try to just kind of scratch at that surface is our goal, you know.
Yeah.
Just to kind of try to get to their level of understanding of what's all. But we don't use CGI, like at all. It's
Yeah,
all
I was gonna
practical.
ask. Yeah.
I mean, we use some effects, like FX and stuff like that, but we don't create fake things, you know. Like we use AI imagery for like images, like oh, we want to expand this or expand that.
Yeah.
But that's about it, you know. But that's a whole nother conversation.
I was gonna ask about AI if you guys are like.
We're
Yeah.
for it at this point. It's
Yeah.
kind
To a
of
degree.
to a degree, like, you know, it does suck for a lot of people that are very specific, because like those little pieces, those are just a singular person. Like one person is making the art to this
Right.
to this thing, so they're gonna miss out on those opportunities. But like as independent filmmakers, like it just cuts our time in half for things that we have to do ourselves. That we know that we're gonna have to create this art, we're gonna have to write this thing, or we're gonna have to do all that. We don't dive into like the AI like script writing stuff. We write our own scripts. That's a little ungenuine for us.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like cutting, like well, we need some fire, or we need this, or we need that, we need to make up something that we can't just do without like having real experience in that stuff, because they're risky.
Yeah.
You know, we'll start to utilize a little bit there, especially at imagery generating. Like Caden will make an image. I want to have it a certain format. We didn't get as much space in that image as I wanted to, so we'll just expand that image. You know, just little stuff like that, just like to shortcut some stuff. And we want to look into it further too, because
It's a very gray area. Like it can be incredibly helpful, but there are a lot of cons to it as
Of
well.
course.
Which like we're in a field where it's more helpful, whereas like
as creators,
just right. But like, you know, you have like artists, like, you know, painters and all that, where it's been digital artists, it's been
Yeah.
detrimental to them because
Yeah.
people are like, I can do what you can do now by just typing a few
Yeah.
words
A
in.
few seconds, boom.
It's-
there.
That sucks.
If
Yeah.
every movie's made like Sin
And
City,
there are-
then
yeah.
there's
There
not
are
much
definitely
feeling.
certain things that we use it for, but it's
Just-
also fun to do practical effects. And I think sometimes, like, you know, Star Wars wouldn't be Star Wars if they hadn't have built the miniature sets
That's true.
for all of the races and the planets and all that. It would look completely different. It would feel completely different. So there are things that you have to pick and choose that it's good for, and that's really important. And it's going to be personal to every
Right.
filmmaker and every company that uses it or doesn't use it.
Right, and you want there to be some sort of
But
care and emotion towards it too.
Right.
You know,
the
Very
writing.
genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caden and I like to write too much to let a computer do it for us. We would
right.
Oh yeah.
we would end up putting in the same amount of hours because we'd let something write it for us and be like, well, that's all
I don't
wrong.
like it.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not dealing with that.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Mhm.
see
But-
that happening.
The most I let a computer help me is when I can't think of a word or I don't like the word that I thought of, and
Yeah.
I, you know, synonyms and
Yes.
all of that.
Good
Yes.
old
I love
thesaurus.
an online dictionary.
But yeah. I say it all just depends on where the industry decides to take it and where people and audiences decide what they accept and what they don't.
That's true.
Because if every single person decides that says no, we're not gonna have AI, like did you guys see the Coke commercial for over Christmas?
Yeah, it's,
Had all the trucks running through town, polar bears.
it's all AI.
All
oh,
AI.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's all AI.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every piece of that is
See,
AI.
And
I
you
forgot about that.
And it got mass
saying.
dislikes on it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
mass.
I mean, it looked cool in that moment, but I forgot about it until you mentioned
Yeah.
it just
Well,
now.
Yep.
And they're
I
just
think
saving
it'll go
money.
through a lot of the same rings that CGI went through.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's going to look a lot worse. People are going to be very against it, and then
Right.
it'll find its place.
10
in-
years, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. I remember one of the Terminators, I forget which one, 3 or 4, whatever, and it was just like so much in your face, trucks flipping, things blowing up. And in the moment I was like, oh my God, but now I can't tell you which Terminator it was, who was in it.
Right, right. Because
I
there's
thought I
so much
loved it.
now.
And I don't
There's so
remember.
much now, and
Yeah.
because
It's too
everything's
much.
like those movies now.
It felt disingenuous because
Right.
there was so much happening.
Right, right.
So, what do you think, Mike?
I like it. I say that as someone that went doing design work, went from a drafting board to a CAD system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
there
see,
were
that's-
things
yeah.
that somebody just told me today, one of the guys, actually not that much older than me, I was like, oh, I'd love to go back to the drafting board. It's like, I hated it every second I was there.
Yeah, it takes so much more time.
I was so glad when I could start typing it in on a computer.
Right.
Now, granted, the artwork wasn't there. Because on a drafting board, you could look at somebody's drawing. I was like, I know who did that because I can tell by the lettering. I can tell by the
Right.
way they drew it. They all look the same now. But the speed and efficiency and the mundane things that you don't have to do now,
Yeah.
Yes.
which I can definitely see that on the video side of it. Any of the editing stuff. It was just like, force calculations. I sat through college doing this stuff by hand.
Yes.
And I could spend 4 hours on solving what's going to make the shaft bend. Now I can spend 30 seconds. I go, put a load here. Tell me how much it's going to bend. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
When it helps, it helps. for
now there'll
sure.
be a
That's-
point where
yeah.
I can't tell you why that software is coming up with it.
Right.
And we will have that generation that doesn't know how to figure that out or why the
course.
software works.
Yeah.
And pretty much it'll just be the people programming the software, the only ones that know the math behind it. So we'll end up with the same thing like on the video, on
course.
the music side,
Oh, yeah.
the art side. It'll be the people
The
feeding
challenge.
into the AI are the ones that knew it, and now the people using the AI don't really know how to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah.
But that frees up the time to go do the creative stuff.
Right. You can
Yeah.
develop
Yeah.
more. That's where our point comes into. Is like we could develop more, but like it does take it will take away the skill earned. Like it's gonna be much harder for people to understand things. Like it's just gonna be like, oh, I just plug it in and boom, it's done. Well, it's like, so you don't. If all the technology was taken away, then you wouldn't know how to make a movie. Like we've been blessed to be making films in the 2000s where like a DSLR camera are readily available for under $5,000, even under $2,000. The camera we used with Moonlight Hour was like $1,500, and we've had that for 7 years now.
Yeah, something like that.
So
pretty good for
so
a
it's
camera.
yeah. You take care of them, they last. But like we were able to take a lot of shortcuts just because like editing software was readily available. You could just pay a monthly fee and you have it on your computer. So we could just create, and it led us into the understanding of all the different layers that it actually takes to make something good. Because you got to make a bunch of shitty stuff before you make something worth it. And if you don't make anything shitty, then you're never going to learn anything.
That's true.
And that's where it's kind of getting at, is that like you can just throw in a couple plugins and make something, but
You're missing the fundamentals.
you're missing the fundamentals, and you're not in a room full of people, real people, and you're pitching ideas and how to do them, and you tell them I'm gonna plug it into a computer and it's gonna happen. They're gonna look at you like you're insane,
Right.
and they're gonna be like, well, you don't have any real course to any of this. Especially the old heads, man. They every generation has the same problem with selling new ideas to the older generation. And so to walk into an office to pitch any sort of movie idea where you're talking about fundamentally taking away anything human from a movie, it's not going to work. Even in animation, they still move around like people. They take individual markings and they craft the movement. Everything's done hand by hand. Even if it's through a simulation that they've gotten already, because that's the thing, is like every generation's work rolls over to the next generation. So everything that the past generation found out, they can now utilize. You know, all those formulas and all the ways of work, those are all found out, and that's how we're able to even do it. We could just get on fucking YouTube and go, how to make a movie, and it will show you 20,000 different things, but it's just up to you to go watch that stuff, because like what a lot of college kids are doing now, is they'll get all their education from their professors for YouTube videos, and then what they'll do is they'll put it into an AI generator that will watch all those videos and then write out their fucking essays.
Yeah.
So they're skipping the part of the
actual
fundamental
learning.
learning
Yep.
to
Yeah.
know what this actually is, and just trying to say that they understand it because they can read it on their little quick. It's like using a calculator. It's like you can get the math done. Yeah, click, boom, 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 it's done. How do you get there?
Right.
Do you know how to get there? Because that's where intelligence is. That's where real built, like
It's where you actually
fundamental-
learn it.
Yeah, fundamentals are.
We call that Cliff Notes back in the
Yeah,
80s.
yeah, it's Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
read the book, didn't read the play. It was Cliff Notes.
Right.
Yeah.
And we grew up without like books. Like we weren't in the era of books. It was all internet. So, but it's still up to you to go and find that stuff on the internet and
That's-
be willing to do the research.
I
Because
had
if
an
you just
English
say, "I'm right,"
teacher
it doesn't work.
that wouldn't let us use like laptops or anything. She was like, scientifically, you remember things better if you write them down by hand. So in my class,
Yeah.
if I see you with a laptop, those notes don't count. You can take your notes home and put them on a computer, but when you're in class, write them down. It was one of the best classes I ever took.
Wow.
One of the classes I learned the
Did you
most
remember?
in. Yeah, and it works. And now I take notes. I keep a notebook with me. I write things down.
Yeah.
Like I'll use my phone for stuff, but I
Yeah.
I like to have.
When you're driving, you got to do the voice text.
Yes, yeah, and then it's half gibberish and.
Right, and like for spelling tests, and when I was in grade school, like I didn't learn any of the words till the day of. But what I'd do is I'd sit there 5 minutes before the test, and I'd use my photographic memory and just read, and I would still learn a little bit, even though I didn't try and I
Yeah.
didn't care. I would still have to do that real fast. and I
Yeah,
would
it
still,
forces you to
I would
retain
still
something.
learn something. So it's not that I could just copy and paste like nowadays you could do with the computer classes.
Right.
I did a little bit of that, and it was just you could get on these different sites, and they would give you every answer. Like you don't have to do any work. Like you don't have to prove anything, and that's gonna get shown through no matter what, because the generation before were hard workers, and they don't like that it's not hard work that's proving to be the outcome.
We
And,
were allowed
and
to have calculators back then.
yeah, no,
So
yeah.
that was our internet.
We just were
calculator.
allowed to use calculators. Like it was still kind of like taboo to use calculators in math class, unless you were doing something like what was it? Starts with a C. It's a really
Calculus?
Yeah,
Calculus.
unless you're doing
Calculus.
calculus, then you could use a calculator. That's when they started.
Nobody understands that.
No, it's
No.
it's complex.
I
and
dropped out first day.
it
I-
takes time and development. Yeah.
I've designed a
That's-
lot of
yeah.
stuff and never seen a need for it. That's people doing stuff. I mean, you're flying stuff to space
Right.
before you need
Yeah.
that.
Right, you're making rocket ships.
Yeah,
basically.
that's
yeah.
not your average college student that needs to know how to do
When
that.
I realized I wasn't gonna really need math for what I wanted to do for work, I was like, okay,
yeah.
that's for the people that need it.
But that's the thing, though. You know, you got a guy trying to build a rocket. You know, you want him to have a calculator. You know,
Yeah.
like he's gonna
Yeah.
need that because it's complex. It's so definitely utilizing the tools. It's a balance between its hard work and utilizing the tools that are in your grasp. Especially like nowadays, it's such a fundamental to just like pass everybody up in such a quick manner. You know, it's like the next thing is on its way
Right.
as soon as that thing came out.
Just when you think you got it figured out, and you don't.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
It's a lot like weird reference, but it's a lot like war. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they got the next biggest bomb. We need to
Yeah.
make the next biggest bomb.
Yep.
That's like literally what it's like. Is trying to get to the next biggest thing first.
Yep.
And us being on the lower level, we got to be humble and think we just gonna do what we want to do. Like, I never care about copying anybody per se. You know, that's a big thing in music. Like, oh, you don't want to rip off people's
Right.
chord progressions. You don't want
Right.
to steal their lyrics. You don't want to do this. You want to do that. Movies almost ask for it. Like the best of the best tell you to steal
Yeah.
Right.
from other films to make your movie. So it's almost like
And people love references. I
Mhm.
mean,
in movies, yeah,
Yeah.
they're callbacks.
It's familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, depending on the creators, a lot of them enjoy seeing their work being pushed out. Like a Quentin Tarantino,
Oh.
he's like, yeah, I see my stuff all over the place. They'll play this song or they do that, blah blah blah, and he enjoys seeing that he's part of the culture still.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun. Whereas like a musician would be like,
They stole
my shit. Like,
Oh,
like
they
a
take it
Lars
very
Ulrich.
personal.
Yeah, like a Lars Ulrich. He would always go after
Yep.
that if anybody got anything close to his kind of stuff. When he's making the same shit 8 years apart from each other. Same riffs.
Yep.
Go, you should do this. You know, it's like, you're just stealing from yourself now.
Yeah, from yourself.
You know, and that's cool too. You could do that. Those are callbacks to your own music and stuff
True.
like that. So just the concept of that's fun to look into.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the next big thing,
Yeah. What's the next big
what's
thing?
what's the current or next big thing for Clairemont Films?
So we talked a little bit about it earlier. So we have a film that we're in the midst of working on. We'll go ahead and name drop it. I could probably do that now. You know, not too many people. But we have this movie called Fall Grace. The year actually, and so a little for you guys. That was for you. And we plan on releasing that towards the end of the year. We're going for Halloween. We don't have a set date yet,
Perfect
but
timing.
we wanted to match the theme.
Yes.
Past that, we do have another like film night planned. We're going to show all of our original films. That's going to be in May, I believe. I don't have the date confirmed on that yet either, but we are going to be doing like this sweet like black and white noir night out film night. Everything, all of our films in black and white. Just like, you know, all film, like we normally try to throw a party and
I
stuff.
was gonna say, can we dress for
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like a
Please
banquet
dress
with
the
TV.
ones,
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely to the nines.
Yeah.
Black and white. You know, we're gonna do our own little thing too. And we got that, and then past that we have some more movie ideas. Like I said, we have a lot of people that are writing stuff that they're really passionate about. We have a Mothman movie idea that we're working towards for next year. And then we have a couple other films that are possibilities depending on if the people that wrote them want to jump at them or not. You know, I think we have like 2 options on that realm. And then, but past that, we have a feature film that we've been working on for the last 5 years that we wanna get to once we're kind of past this developmental section of like 20-30 minute long films.
Like the jump from like short films that are under 15 minutes to these things that are between 15 and 40, and then the
Right.
real hour and a half
Wow.
long, which
Yeah.
we've got our fingers crossed. There's not rumors, they're moving Sundance, and
Oh yeah.
Cincinnati is one of the options for them to move Sundance to
Oh.
for like starting in 2027, and then it would be like 5 years, I think. So they haven't said anything yet, but
Yeah, they've been in Salt Lake
Yeah.
City for like 20-30 years, and they didn't vote to move. Salt Lake City was one of the
Yeah.
options, so they may just
Yeah.
stay there and just be pulling a ruse on everybody.
it's
No,
them.
just
It's
getting talking.
Colorado.
Marketing schemes,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Boulder,
and then,
Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado, and then here. And
Oh.
we are very biased, but we think that
Yeah.
here is an excellent option.
Well, those are 2 ski towns compared to an actual arts city.
That's kind of
That's
yeah.
true.
We're
You know,
I think
not the
Cincinnati
Days, they all
itself
have
too
their
is like turning over into a new like very. There's a lot of motion going on.
We got
so
Blink,
that would be.
we got all these theaters.
And
that
we
are
lost
known.
Bunbury right before right as the pandemic started. So we don't really have like a big festival or anything that goes
Yeah.
on
It's time.
downtown.
We-
It's yeah.
We would definitely be annual occupants of Sundance
Love
if
it,
if
yeah.
it showed up.
But it
here.
would line up really well, and it would be an excellent opportunity if they came here
Yeah.
to throw that full length feature film at
Yeah.
them. That would
That would be
essentially be like time to drop everything and just focus on
Oh,
that as
yeah.
much as we possibly can.
We'd be trying to do some serious like groundwork and funding and
Yes.
stuff like that. We would definitely be. That's our magnum opus as of now in our career.
Well, that's
Um,
exciting.
in 5 years of development, you know, that's why I told Kate, I'm like, dude, it's gonna be another 5 years before I feel like we've developed something the way we've gotten this to,
Yeah.
you know, just because it's been just so big to try to get to it. We just didn't have a choice to just keep working on it, you know. I'm cool with that. Some of our favorite people are like the Safdie brothers, and they did Uncut Gems. You ever seen that movie with Adam Sandler?
Maybe.
It's
really
great.
good.
But they wrote that movie 10 years prior, and they wrote it for Adam Sandler.
Oh, wow.
And then Adam Sandler got a hold of the script like 8 years later, and it was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to be this guy. And then boom, bang, boom. But it took him 10 years of developing that script to finally
So many
get it to his desk.
fantastic scripts are like, were not what they were when they started. I just actually read Back to the Future was rewritten 6 times before
Really?
it was, and the like.
I didn't know that.
There's the original script is still out there. It's a totally different movie. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
Marty and Doc are like pirating films in the beginning of it. Like they're running some side scheme. You know, he's got a secret room and a laboratory. Like that's not.
Makes sense.
Back to
Terrorists
the-
showed up. I mean, they're being chased by terrorists.
But yeah, you know, like
Libyans.
there are plenty of like people's
Libyans.
favorite movies or things that did not start out even close to what they ended up being. And
Yeah.
so working on something, sometimes it can be detrimental because you can look at it too long. But
Like you said that.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
but
Die
also
Hard.
yeah,
Die Hard's one too. They were rewriting it as they were filming it. Like, so what they did is they would for rewrites they would color code it. So if they rewrote something, they would make it a new color every time they would rewrite it.
Yeah.
That script looked like a fucking rainbow
Oh, I
by
bet.
the end of the filming it,
We
because
didn't-
they'd have like 2 different directors. They had like
Yeah.
all these different people work on it. Yeah, it was wild.
we didn't do it to that degree. But with Fall of Grace, there were things that we changed on set and things that we did
Good title.
differently. And yeah,
Yeah.
the script
Yeah.
that we were going off on set has all these like little notes and stuff that I threw in there as we were like, you know, oh, we need to do this. Oh, do that. Oh, throw that like that.
That
you
happens
know.
every single time too.
Mhm.
There's no such thing as a
No,
perfect
it's
script.
natural.
Like Moonlight Hour got 3 or 4 scenes cut out of it.
Wow.
Like entire
Mhm.
scenes. Like and entire like big parts of the movie too that would like be considered important storytelling aspects. Like Amber was supposed to be possibly pregnant the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was supposed to take a pregnancy test in the beginning. That was why she went to the bathroom. It wasn't supposed to be a liquor bottle. It was supposed to be a pregnancy test, and then she was supposed to take it, and then Colin, my character, was supposed to step on that thing, so she didn't know if it was positive or negative or not.
Gosh, what a
And
twist.
then she gets shot in the stomach later, so everyone's worried about it. It was really important. It was a piece of story that like we wanted to do, but it just didn't work. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't end up working out for what we were trying to do. But that happens in filmmaking. You have to just, if you can't achieve it to the way you want it to happen, you should just axe it. Just get rid of it. You don't need it. If the story always tells itself the way it's supposed to be told.
Yeah, that's
You have
true.
enough there, it's always going to be able to be told without all these different elements. Like sometimes, you know, you don't need that scene. We'll put that on the outtakes, you know, put that on the bloopers, so let people see it maybe, but it didn't
Everything's got the lead.
Yes.
Interesting. All right, you had a couple questions.
Okay, so anything else you want to tell us? You told us a little bit about upcoming projects. The future.
Yes.
What is the dream job situation future for either Clairemont Films or individually?
That's a great question actually.
Or do these answers match?
We talked
And do
about
they match?
me and Kate have definitely talked about it, and Maisie is definitely in on the conversation. But like, it's definitely to get to a point where we are full-time filmmakers, and all we do is make movies. Like, whether it's 1 a year, 2 a year, but that's our main focus throughout the entire year. We can make our living off of it. We can find whatever sort of endorsement deals, blah 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 blah. But ultimately, get to a point to where this is our job, not just our passion. Because with the passion that we have for it comes all the skills that we've obtained to it. And honestly, for me, I'm way too good at this singular thing and nothing else to focus on anything else for the rest of my life. Like, I've developed way too much into
All of
this
the eggs
thing.
in one basket.
I've been doing this since I was 20 years old, you know. I'm almost 30. At least with the video side of things. You know, music, I was 11, and that just played into this. But I've always been an artist at heart. I decided at a very young age that I wanted to do something with art. I tried the music for a really long time, couldn't get anything together, couldn't write any. I could write songs, couldn't get any lyrics together, couldn't get band members, but could play all the parts, you know. So it just turned into, I learned everything about music to not really utilize any of it. And then when I got to the film, I've been lucky enough to have a partner that is willing to stick by me through thick and thin and do everything with me, whether it's good, bad, great, amazing, or absolute trash. We stick through it. We just continue to develop and develop and develop. And that's what I think makes us kind of special, is that we've stuck through it. And most projects, most people, they kind of get sick and tired of, or move on from, or just don't have the same goals anymore. And I feel like that's something that we've always had the same, is our goals and ambitions to get to a point to where we can make big movies and have a big budget and be able to, you know, line our pockets with some of that, and then take that and then sell the absolute shit of it and get as many people to see it as possible. Because that's ultimately the goal for any of this. Like, we don't have to get to that point. We don't care if we do. We're gonna just do it anyways. But to try to get to a point to where we can just make movies and that be our livelihood strictly. That's the goal ultimately. Kate, if you want to.
No, that's pretty much it as far as like our goals go, is to just be able to live comfortably and do this. That's all we want. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
really.
You don't have to do much. Like, the goal is always to have the most people see it. We want people to see it, and the reality of that, it comes with like money. Like, you have to spend money to get people to see stuff. So that's kind of became more the orientation of goals, is like understanding what things are going to cost, because it's never to make a profit. Like, we never want to make a profit per se. If we can, that'd be amazing, and we could just start doing this nonstop. But at this point in our career, I don't believe that we are. If we can't do it ourselves, then we're not at the level to do it for anybody else. You know, we've done so much stuff for people, and we've done really, really, really great work. But ultimately, if that's what we're doing is for other people, then it's not really what we want to do. We love creating art. We love doing music for people. We love our music videos for people. We love doing I loved doing the podcast while I was doing that. But ultimately, it comes back to our passion's filmmaking, and we want to make movies. So anything that is not that is a deterrent away from that, and is time consumed towards something else. And so just lining our goals back up, because we did go off and do a lot of stuff in the last few years, which we're very proud of. Like, never like discounting it or nothing like that. But that's not necessarily what we want to do. We want to do it because we love music. Absolutely love fucking music, and that's what got us started in the art scene. And so and that's something we want to try to focus on more too, is like making movies that like about things that we know about. Like, we've taken a lot of adventures into the unknown for us. Like, filmmaking is definitely a learning life lesson part of our lives. Like, we learn a lot about different cultures and different situations, and try to understand points of views. But ultimately, we want to get it to a point to where it's just that. It's just the stories. It's just us writing every single day.
I want that
about
for you
that stuff.
guys too. I mean, I see the chemistry and the dynamics here, and it's incredible. I love it, and I want that for you guys.
Amazing guy, you know, the.
No, I mean, I
It's like
think,
a lot of
yeah.
tangent.
I mean, you talk a lot. That's okay.
I am the talker.
We should have said if I sat in the middle, it would be most talking to
Least talking.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's a lot going on inside down there. No, I think the goal is the same. I would absolutely, we all have day jobs, and I don't hate my day job by any means, but I would be much happier to just be doing whatever whatever I want all day. It's something that Will says a lot. It's like, the worst day on set is better than a good day at our day job, which
Seriously.
is, I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't hate where I work or anything, but even when we're on set and I'm annoyed, I'm like, but at least I'm doing this,
Yeah.
Like, we were filming the last movie, and we're out in a field where there are horses, and it's dirty, and it's cold, and I was like, this is great.
It was.
Which is probably insane to some people,
Better
but
than
yeah.
anything else in life. That's what I always say.
Being out and being able to do that and write, and knowing that you're writing something that, like, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm writing this, and I'm going to get to film this, because now we have that in our power. Like, I'm not just writing and hoping, oh, in 5 years I hope we get to film this. Like, knowing,
It's
having
on the
our
bu-
own
it's on the
office,
block.
having, like a legal, film company, a name, and all of that we're working under would all just be amazing. And getting to, at that point you can start to support other people's projects too,
That'd be
where
cool.
we're working on our things, but we're also helping out on other people's things.
That's how you kind of built that.
We all have different skills and things that we do, so it's like we have a friend that needs a director, so one of us is going to go and help him do that for a little bit, and we have a friend that does this, but they need that. And so like being able to fill in and still make that the full-time work would just be, that's the goal. And it's not, right now it's definitely not about profit, like Will said. It's about putting things that we care about into the world and hoping that the people we know and people we don't know get to see them. And then one day if we can live off of that, even better. Go us.
That's
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I often tell people, I don't mind doing the work I do. But I go to work, do the day job, to do the stuff that's valuable to them, to make the money, to come home and do the stuff that's valuable to me.
Yes.
And ironically, the stuff that's valuable to me, I think as soon as I had to put a monetary value on it or get paid for doing it, it would lose its value. It's valuable to me because it's stuff that won't get done unless somebody can do it without being paid for doing it.
Right. Well, as soon as you put that pay stub over top of your work, then all of a sudden you're pressured to do it, and because now you got to make your bills.
It's a little different. I mean,
Yeah.
difference between playing high school basketball and playing college basketball or pro basketball. It's like every time that money goes up, now the pressure gets to be more about the money than it does the the talent, the skill, the creativity, what you put out.
Noah Smith's real good about balance, like with that kind of stuff, because like he has a real good program with, like, he has a bottom line from his music and all the things he does from that, the podcasts, the what's his subscription,
Long cut.
the long cut,
Big old family.
Right, he's got a bottom line, so like that money comes in, he at least has this to look at, and then everything he does past that is just gain on top, and that's a good way to look at it. But it takes a lot to get to that point to just rely on that. It's a challenge, and we've never really been into it or for the money whatsoever. We've always said that, like, it's always about the art to us. So like we are a low budget film crew. We do it with the least possible and make it happen. And because of that, that's what I feel like is going to put us over in the long run, because we're going to learn all the hard lessons of how to make this stuff without money, without just shortcuts.
Making it easy.
Right. That's like that conversation we're talking about, like, that work will pay off because we learned all the things. We'll be able to walk into a room full of executives 10 years, 15 years down the road and sell them a pitch for a movie. And they're like, oh, wow, you guys really know what you're talking about.
And know exactly what needs to, when they throw questions at you, like, know exactly what you're doing. That's,
So one thing I always ask people is, what would you do if you hit the lottery? What's the first thing you do? But I think
my
I know
gosh.
you would obviously.
How much? Well, what kind of lottery, Joe?
Yeah, are we talking like
so
the Big Bang?
yeah,
It would make a difference.
like
in
Moneyball,
when you got it
Powerball.
Now or 5 years ago. If you had it 5 years ago, you wouldn't have learned all these lessons.
Right.
Up to this
No,
point.
that's
Skipped it.
very true.
That's very true, yeah. And that's why I think it's composing to come from that, and because it will never be about that to us. It will always just be about the art, because as soon as it's not about the art, I mean, you see when people sell out, and it's just like they don't care anymore. They're just doing it to get the paycheck now, and it's not as purposeful. Like, and if you're gonna take the time that it really takes to make movies, then you need to make it purposeful, or else you're just wasting your fucking life.
Right.
You're wasting everyone else's time by having them show up and spend an hour or 2 hours watching your pile of shit that you didn't try on. It really means something. I mean, coming from, like, we make 2-minute short films where we didn't know what we're doing, so we didn't really try.
But you learn from that.
Right, and then we learned to try from just trying.
You pull it from your heart.
Right.
I think that we all have our wits about us enough to know, like, if we did win the Powerball tomorrow, it would be less about putting
I get a yacht.
money. Okay,
so that would be the motorcycle.
only. I don't think you understand how expensive yachts are. No helmet.
You'd use it in the movie though.
It'd be the movie.
No, I
it's
think
a write-off.
I think we have our wits about us enough to know that like some of that movie or that money would obviously go into helping with the movies, but really I think we know how much it's valuable to do things yourself and learn from that. That it would almost be more effective for us to put that money towards things that would allow us to spend. So like like right now we're
Like your day
renters.
job.
Like we're gonna win the lottery. Well, I'm gonna buy a house so that
Yeah,
we just have
that's right.
a paid off house that we don't have to worry.
Office/house/studio.
Yes.
Exactly.
That we don't have to worry about, and that would be like such a relief because now we're just worrying about like the month-to-month bills and
Right.
things like that. Like it would, I think we all like learning and through trial and error enough that instead of it being like we're gonna go big or go home now and do all this, it's like, well, what can we do? Put this towards to back us up and like. Just make it easier to like
Right.
do what continue on the path that we're already down
Make it
instead of
stable.
changing course.
Right.
Because then we change course and then we lose that money.
Right.
Oh shit.
Right. Well, and that's what I think, because like me and Kane have always said, like, dude, you gave us $10,000, we could make a fucking hit movie.
Yeah.
Because we've always done good. And this is just purely from peer review. Like anything, like on our way to getting to where we are now, most things I show people, they go, "Wow, man, that looks really good. That doesn't look like just some dudes in their backyard with a camera. It looks like you guys are actually doing something."
Yeah.
And then when we got to the point where we did, like everybody was like, "Wow, the acting was really good. It was really convincing." And like I felt like you guys actually like robbed a gas station. And, like felt like you guys actually kidnapped somebody and like
Yeah.
did all these things that felt real within the depiction of the movie. Even though we're using really weird coloring and all this goofy stuff that we're like indie filmmakers about,
That's part of it.
it's still the point that like if we can do that with nothing, then if you gave us something,
Imagine.
what the fuck?
Well, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I do. I think about that a lot.
We do too. We
One
definitely,
day we will have the
I
balls to
definitely like-
ask. Like, I definitely believe that like the feature film that we want to do, we will like start a GoFundMe and we will ask people like if you're willing to donate, give us some of your
It's
donation.
basically a tip jar.
Yeah, and
Any
we'll
musician
put
will
like a
put down.
little
Yeah.
we'll put little producer credits or little stuff like that. You
Sure.
get a T-shirt, you'll get that. We'll offer things. Like I don't want to just ask for money. We've always been very against asking people for money because I've never asked for a damn thing in my life. I've always earned it, and so that's where I feel like we build up our repertoire, we build up our fan base. We go to do a big project and then we ask with stipulation that you get something in return
Right.
to do that. And
That's-
that's the goal plan, and then like what comes with that is just all the back work to try to make it a real thing, like to get it in any of these like official selections for like film festivals or to like even like show it at places like that. You gotta have a lot of like legalities taken care of and lawyers and agents and be in these rooms with these big suits and shit like that. And I just feel like us grinding it out and showing up as like gritty, dirty, in the fucking trenches filmmakers, they're gonna like, oh, okay, so you guys are gonna be able to go out there and do it for nothing, and we won't have to spend much money to do this sort of thing.
The more that we can pull off for less, the more accomplished I feel. Like our budget for Fall of Grace, like with costumes and everything,
$300, I think, right?
less.
Less than that.
Less.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I
costumes,
love it.
like I went out one day, we spent like $80 to $100 on costumes. So and I was like, that's it. I'm not spending any more. Anything else we need to find, we need to figure out. But like,
Yep.
we're also really lucky to have a very good pool of friends that are also amateur artists
Yep.
that are willing to be like, well, I'm going to come do this for you because you're going to give me a credit and that's going
Right.
to work
Right.
for that.
Right.
Like,
Mm.
and that's,
And it was a fun experience.
and because we always tell people, we're like, can't pay you. And they're like, that's fine because you're going to like, we have a friend that does special effects.
Right.
And they were like, I need a certain, amount of credits in movies for this class. So give me a credit.
And people that are excited for
Yes.
art are much more motivated than people that are excited
Yes,
for money.
because they put their heart into
Yeah,
it.
it just
Yeah.
looks better
They're showing
naturally
up
because they're
because
there
they want
for
to.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yes.
What, and this may probably a different answer for all three of you.
Okay.
What would you tell 10 or 15-year-old yourself
Oh God.
with the experience you've got now wanting to do, assuming they're wanting to do what you're doing now? What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Where was it that you guys? What party? It was a party you guys met at, right?
We met at a studio session at Seeing the Funnies.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I made the mistake of college was not for me, but I felt like it had to be for me, so I did 2 years of college that went nowhere. So I think I would just tell my 15-year-old self to be like, hey, in a couple of years, don't worry about it. Just be at this place at this time, and like, just don't, you know. But also, I was a totally different person when I was 18, so I might not have liked you guys. You might not have liked me. I don't know.
I mean, no, you definitely wouldn't have liked me.
The jury's still out some days.
I would really simple. I would just say, dude, you're on the right path to do the things that you want to do. You're gonna follow your dreams. You're a really stubborn bitch. But my only advice would be watch more movies, dude. Just watch a couple more movies. Watch some more movies while you're younger, and then watch them later. Because I did watch a lot of stuff, but I didn't get deep into like movies much as a teenager. I was more of like had my few, and then that was it. But that would be the only thing. It would just be like, hey man, just watch a little bit more movies because you're gonna need it.
Watch and learn.
Yeah, seriously. Because I wouldn't have
Study
told
up.
myself to defer from the music.
No.
Because music was this is a good path. I think.
Helpful.
I think. Oh, it's very helpful in what we do now. I can like the mix
Right.
of music is very much important. So I'm glad I was able to do that. But just watch more movies, dude.
How about you, Katie?
I would say just start picking up the camera earlier because I didn't
Yeah.
start till I was in my early 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
See,
You
you
never
have
know.
such a specific style of pictures. I can
They're
see your picture
gorgeous.
and I know it's yours.
Yeah.
It's kind
So,
of weird. Like
really
Yeah.
it's kind of.
That's the only advice I would give
It
myself.
was like a
just start
sleeper
early.
cell at
You know, it
20.
was unacceptable.
Yeah.
It was kind of a sudden because like his like found like he used to follow the funnies around with a camera and that stuff's all super found footagey, you know. He never really looked for shots. But then like we started doing short films and all of a sudden he just got like his eye for shots. So I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
This is just a natural
Just
thing
knows,
for you,
yeah.
though, isn't it?
Pretty
Like,
much.
You didn't go to college for this or anything. You just
Not for photography and film,
See it.
no.
he did get a
Well-
college for digital art.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of had an
He
artistic
still makes
eye,
some really
but it's
cool
still-
digital art, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's mainly what I went to school for.
I don't think any of us would probably defer from our paths, though. I mean, everything leads you to where you're supposed to be eventually. Like, if I
Yeah.
changed anything about my past or anything like that, who's to say I'd be here? And that's
collectively,
like,
though, every answer is that you would have done it sooner.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's just, yeah, you know,
Oh yeah.
experience helps you grow. So if
It
you could
does.
go back and
Yeah,
give
it's a
yourself more
journey.
experience.
Right. As like someone that went from one art to another, you know, it's like it's kind of hard to say like when I should have stopped doing the other and then do this because I really didn't have any opportunity to do like video stuff as a teenager. I mean, I made a couple music videos. I was a rapper for like 10 years.
What?
Can you put quotations around that?
Rapper.
I hear it. I really hear it.
But yeah,
You do,
so-
actually.
but they were just so shitty and just not. They're just
They're actually,
cell phone camera.
they're fantastic.
They're hilarious to laugh at.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I get famous, they'll be brought up on Jimmy Kimmel.
I'm gonna send them to Jimmy Kimmel.
Better do it.
So we got this video that we want to show tonight. Really, Jimmy? What video? Great. But yeah, it's but
Well,
yeah,
it's for me.
it's hard to like defer from that. Like it's like they're so similar in the way that creation works. It's just conversations and pieces. Like, what if we did this? What if we did this right here? What if this part was like this? What if we changed it up here? Like, we'll put a bridge there. You know, that's kind of like the moment before the climax. You know, so just trying to be artistic would have been my only. Like, dude, just be art. Just do your thing. Because I was already so stubborn about being an artist and wanting. I thought I was gonna be on stage in front of 1,500 people, fucking shredding or something like that. But I'm not. Even to this day, like I'm not the greatest guitarist, but like because I learned how to do that, I understand music, and
Right.
because I understand music, I understand the philosophy of sound,
Right.
and then furthering the philosophy of everything else just brings in the movies.
That's an important
It
part
was like
of
a
it.
step into it, you know. It was like a baby step into that process almost.
Sure. All right. Camera's still going, or are they?
I think it's still going, but
That's
it's,
still going.
Hanging on.
we're wearing them out. So we probably should wrap it up.
Probably should. That was fun.
thank you for stopping out to see
Thank
us.
you
for
guys.
having
Thank you for having us.
We
You guys
love
are
what you're
joys.
doing at Clairemont Films. Excited to see where it goes.
So are we.
Mostly, we
You
love
guys
each
do.
of you individually as people.
True.
Oh, we
Um,
love you
yeah,
too.
Every
Yes.
time we cross paths, it's excitement to see you walk in the room.
know.
It's
I
like,
love
hey,
seeing you
these
guys
are our
out.
people. We
Yeah, no, same.
we
We
want to
have the
go
same
grab
goal.
them up.
I know. I come across
So-
like that.
I know.
Yeah, every time you see me, Joe.
So
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad you guys are doing. I'm glad you guys are taking a step into the video realm. I think it's gonna.
It's
open,
fun,
I think
yeah.
it's gonna open you guys up in the personality
Mhm.
kind of way. You know, like boom, blow that bubble wide open because you guys are very personal people
He's
as
got
well.
the voice for it though.
You do. You got a nice stern deep
You
voice.
do, yes.
very
Mm.
very
Interviewer
deep hillbilly
voice.
voice.
Strong voice.
You could be the next Darth Vader.
I could.
Oh.
They need a new one, and
They
I've
do.
practiced the breathing. I've
There
got a
you go.
CPAP in there. Do that every
Use a
night.
bottle.
Yeah, I don't even need the bottle.
All natural.
Yeah.
Well, thank
So-
you guys. Yeah.
Well, thank
Yes.
you, and
Thank you.
thank you for stopping by and telling us your story.
Oh,
Thank you.
That's fun.
Thank you for having
I'll
us.
say
Yes.
if anyone wants to find our stuff, YouTube, it'd be, Clairemont Films, CLAIRE Mont Films, and we have a bunch of stuff on there, and then we got the Facebook and Instagram. If they want to follow us, but yeah, anywhere that all our stuff's there. If anyone wants to find that, you guys are more welcome to come watch us.
Yep. And if anybody any good at editing does anything, he'll put the links down below.
Yes,
Oh.
he will.
So to all of them, because we think this video will probably last longer than any of the particular social medias of 2025.
Yes.
yeah.
That's true.
I think they're going to start fading in and out a lot faster than
Oh,
they've had a good run,
Yes. The amount of people that were like, I'm not going back to TikTok when it came back
Yep.
was
And they
very,
were like right there.
yeah.
yeah, keep track of the names and the websites. Those will probably last longer than
True.
the odd methods we go to get.
Yeah.
Get
Internet
around
videos
them.
are getting shorter. Movies are getting longer.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that.
All the West out there.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you guys.
No, I know.